Hey everyone, what's going on? I wanted to talk through the newest patch for Arma Reforger, the one labeled 1.6.0.68, and give you a detailed run through that you can use for a YouTube segment with my take on what actually matters for players, server admins, and modders. The patch is mostly a stability and polish wave riding on top of the much bigger 1.6 update that landed earlier. So if you've been testing Kolgiev, the revamped conflict mode, or the new campaign, this update is aimed at smoothing out a lot of the rough edges that popped up after those big changes. So first off, if you've been frustrated by random disconnects, crashes while throwing or interacting with objects, or weird behavior when saves load, those are exactly the kinds of things the devs targeted here. Practically speaking, the patch fixes a bunch of crash cases, throwing, saving, entity linking, and cleans up persistence behavior where destructible objects could end up in inconsistent states after a reload. That's huge for long-running servers and persistent worlds because it reduces the chance of ghost objects or buildings that appear intact even though they were destroyed earlier. If you run a persistent server, this is the sort of maintenance patch you don't want to skip, uh, but but still make a backup of your save before applying changes because that's just sensible. For console players and anyone using a controller, one of the more immediate quality of life wins is the set of UI and controller fixes. Inventory and arsenal focus problems that left players stuck in menus or misselecting slots were patched, so using a pad should feel more predictable now. If you play on PS5 or Xbox and you've experienced input focus sticking or inventory quirks, test those flows after updating. You'll likely notice fewer moments where button presses don't do what you expect. The patch also touches on some audio and UI behavior on consoles, so general polish there should be welcome. Gameplay-wise, most of the changes are edge case fixes. Placing items when you die no longer creates strange results. Supplies won't instantly drop or duplicate in awkward situations. Hint and UI text overflow across languages got tightened up, and a few tutorial or animation glitches were addressed. These aren't headline new content items, but they add up. When those little annoyances are fixed, the overall experience feels more cohesive. There were also a handful of adjustments relevant to rank progression and reward balance in conflict mode. So if you're tracking unlocks or have been exploiting quick rank tricks on servers, expect a slightly different cadence in how progression hands out gear. Now, what this patch does not do is flip the big performance switch. If your FPS tanked or things felt laggier after the major 1.6 overhaul, 1.6.0.68 is not billed as a performance overhaul. It's a stability and correctness patch. Community threads show that players are still discussing optimization and balance concerns left over from the big update, so don't expect miracles for frame rate if your bottleneck is GPU/U CPU optimization or driver level issues. That said, tackling crashes and persistence bugs can sometimes indirectly improve perceived performance because you'll get fewer abrupt stops, corrupted saves, or server hiccups. If you want to structure your YouTube script around what viewers care about, here's how I'd frame it naturally. Start with the quick, what it is line. A minor patch update focused on stability and bug fixes for the major 1.6 changes. Then move into 3 audience-specific segments: players, server admins, and modders. For players, highlight the controller fixes, the inventory and arsenal polish, and the small gameplay bug resolutions. For admins, stress the persistence and destruction fixes and recommend backing up saves before updating. Then walk through a test plan. Update the server, run a destruction and save cycle, verify load behavior, and check logs for entity link warnings. For modders, call out that entity linking and destructible handling were touched, so any scripts that reference destroyed objects or rely on entity lifecycle events should be retested in case behavior changed subtly. Those are the areas where regressions happen most often. A few practical tips worth narrating in a mellow, conversational tone. Remind viewers to verify their mods are compatible before updating official servers, because even a small internal change to how objects persist can ripple into mission scripts. Encourage server owners to set up a staging environment or a separate test server if possible, where they can simulate real-world player behavior, base building, artillery strikes, persistent saves across restarts, without risking their main economy or progression. And for casual players, Suggest trying a few things after the update. Run through a conflict match, hop into the arsenal, respawn after taking damage, and try placing items, and try using a controller to see if inventory selection feels smoother. That gives your audience both the macro explanation and micro, actionable checks they can follow themselves. It's also worth being candid about community sentiment. There's a split. A chunk of the player base welcomed these fixes as necessary housekeeping, while others are still vocal about missing performance gains or balance issues introduced earlier. If you cover community reaction, use a clip or two from Steam or Reddit where players discuss persistence problems or rank progression changes. INUs. That grounds your video in player experience rather than just repeating patch pros. But make sure to balance it. Mention that the devs are clearly focusing on stability, which is often less flashy but crucial for long-term health of the platform. If you want to go deeper in the video, a nice segment is a what I tested walkthrough, where you actually show yourself reproducing a previously common crash or broken save, and then show that the scenario now completes without error. Visual proof beats speculation on YouTube, and showing the before and after can reassure viewers that the patch did what it said on the tin. Pair that with a short on-screen checklist for server admins. Update, backup, test destruction persistence, review logs, and you've got utility and entertainment combined. Finally, end the piece with reasonable expectations. This patch is an important stabilizer, not a new content drop. Tell viewers to keep their bug reports constructive. Include repro steps and logs so developers can prioritize the next fixes. Mention that if they still see odd behavior after patching, they should share concrete examples on the official feedback tracker or relevant forums so the devs can act. And if you want to be a little forward-looking, say, you'll keep an eye on any follow-up hotfixes for performance or balance tweaks and report back in a future video. That closes the loop and gives viewers a reason to subscribe for continued coverage. There's your conversational script backbone. You can expand any of these paragraphs into voiceover lines or adapt them into on-camera segments where you demonstrate the fixes. Keep the tone casual and slightly skeptical because players appreciate honesty about what a patch fixes and what it doesn't. If you want, I can now convert this into a time-coded shot list with suggested B-roll, menu captures, controller close-ups, server log overlays, before and after crash clips, and on-screen captions so you can edit it straight into a video.